Alabama has changed its laws regarding trafficking in fentanyl. Most people, when they think of any kind of a trafficking case, they get this image, kind of a Miami Vice image of people either delivering huge quantities of drugs or selling huge quantity of drugs or having some sort of a lab or whatever. They don't really think of somebody just possessing over a certain amount as being trafficking. But the reality is that in Alabama, most of the trafficking cases, while they sometimes involve those other things, most are a person is caught with over a particular weight of a drug. And when it comes to fentanyl, you only need minuscule amounts of those drugs to be facing a very long time in prison. So let's talk about that. There's several steps to the laws pertaining to trafficking in fentanyl. The lowest type of fentanyl trafficking would be if somebody has what they call single component. In other words, it's not mixed with some other drug, but single component fentanyl. If a person has the equivalent of one packet of Sweet and Low or Equal or one of those things, but it's fentanyl, another 1 gram of fentanyl, that's trafficking from 1 to just under 2 grams. If it weighs between 1 and less than 2 grams, that person, if they're convicted, would be facing 3 calendar years in the state penitentiary and a fine of $500,000. The next level of trafficking in Alabama for fentanyl is if the person has between 2 and just under 4 grams. So 2 and less than 4 grams. Now that person, if they're convicted, you're talking about 10 years in the state penitentiary. You're talking about 10 years in the state penitentiary, and you're talking about a fine of $100,000. The next step up in the fentanyl trafficking laws is somebody who has 4 but less than 8 grams of fentanyl. So basically from 4 to just under 8 Sweet and Low packets. That's also, of course, trafficking. But now we're talking about a punishment of 25 years in prison and a fine of $500,000, $500,000. The next step is if somebody has 8 or more grams of fentanyl, so the equivalent of 8 or more Sweet and Low packets, if they have that much, then we're talking about a life sentence, life in prison in Alabama, and a fine of $750,000. Of course, I wonder how somebody who's spending life in prison is going to be able to come up with $750,000 to pay the Alabama, or any inclination to do so. But that's a little bit of a different issue. If somebody you love, or somebody you care about, or you find yourself in some sort of a legal jam here in North Alabama where we practice, and you want to give us a call, feel free to do so. The phone number's below. I hope you found this video to be educational and informative. If you have questions, of course, feel free to give us a call. Thank you.